He's running. I hope he's running. Oh yeah, he's running. Okay. Hello, Alphario here with my current cup of tea. And today I'm not alone. With me is Sen.
Hello!
Yeah, I will be trying to teach about Warhammer lore and stuff, and oh damn, I already feel my brain melting. I remember all these times when I was in the past teaching my other friends about this lore, and I already can feel that it was a bad idea. My brain is gonna melt. But anyway, you said that you already were kind of interested in it. You've played Dark Tide a little, right?
Yes, that's correct. I played Dark Tide. That's the only Warhammer game I played.
Okay, that's actually a good game, although I didn't really get to play it yet. And that's because it's really expensive.
That's fair.
Yeah, me spending hundreds on minis and models, but cannot spend for Dark Tide. Suck. But anyway, if you want, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, I thought you wanted to say something.
No. All good.
Oh, okay. Then, if you want to learn the lore of Warhammer 40k, unfortunately, firstly you need to know few things. First of all, you need to embrace that you will never learn everything.
Okay.
Yeah, and you see, Warhammer is a pretty old franchise already. It was published in 1987 as a tabletop battle board game with models and all. And in the beginning, it was just a game about minis fighting each other, and it didn't really have any deep lore. Something like Warcraft later on, that started with a single game, and with years it somehow evolved into what is it now, so the World of Warcraft and everything. It's the same with Warhammer 40k. In the beginning it was a single game, but then happened books, magazines, comics, other games. There are books that are available only as ebooks. There are all animated videos, so it's got so vast and so broad that you as a person simply, it's impossible for you to learn everything that is inside the lore. Like
I see.
there are literally people who started playing this game as teenagers, and now they teach this game to their grandchildren, so
That's amazing.
yeah. But this point also leads to the second one, so wiki is your best friend. Because there are like two main wikis currently. One is Lexicanum, the other is the Warhammer 40k wiki on fandom. And when you start learning, and even later on, they are gonna be your best friends, because there is so many names and terminology and all that you simply won't know. Also because the Warhammer authors don't really trouble themselves with explaining all this stuff in their books and other products. So if you find some term or name or anything that you won't know, just go into wiki and search for it, because that's the best way you're gonna do. And at the very beginning at least, that's kind of half of the time you will be doing. Yeah. Especially since another thing, Games Workshop, so the company that created Warhammer 40k, absolutely loves to retcon the retconning and stuff. So they have one thing, they state one thing, but then later on they change it. For example, in the beginning, the Warhammer fantasy lore, the world and everything, and Warhammer 40k was connected to each other. Like Warhammer 40k was just Warhammer Fantasy in the future. Now it's now it's different, because now Warhammer Fantasy is a separate thing, and Warhammer 40k is a separate thing. Like Warhammer 40k now is a future of our real world. for example.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And there is also a pretty funny thing that you have to know that numbers do not matter.
Numbers don't matter.
Yeah, because as I said, there is already a vast amount of stuff you would have to go into. Like, I don't know the correct number, but there is like 600 books in total, just the books. So also there's plenty of authors, and because of that, there is no universal standard thing about what numbers are the correct ones. Like, for example, one author can make a space marine an unkillable machine that butchers through hundreds of enemies, and the other will make 5 common guardsmen troop kill a squad of space marines without much trouble. Okay, this one is exaggeration, but stuff like this can happen, so the numbers totally don't matter. Don't concern with them. If it's at some book they say one thing and on in the other something completely different, don't mind it. Just go along with the vibe.
Go along with the vibe. Okay.
Yeah, for example, in the setting, the largest faction, the biggest hegemon is the Imperium of Mankind, and it consists of, the number is unspecified, but it's said to be almost 1,300,000 of colonized and habitated planets.
1 million planets?
Oh, almost 1.5 million.
Okay.
Yeah. So the numbers are vast and they absolutely do not matter. And also,
Okay.
and also, last thing, but also kind of important, you don't have to play or read to have fun. Because, like I said, this game evolved from the tabletop game. And then it was just about building models and playing. But today there is so many stuff you can get into. As we said, there are computer games, there are books, there are videos, there is also this tabletop game. So you can just pick your own genre and stuck with it without interacting with others. For example, I know actually plenty of players who play the tabletop, go to tournaments, win first places and all, but don't know shit about lore because they were simply not interested. They only wanted to build minis and play. And also I know a lot of people who are into the lore, who read books, who watch the videos, but don't feel right with sculpting, with painting and all, and just don't bother themselves with this game.
Right. I kind of pick a genre of the lore of the world and then kind of stick with it.
Yeah, kind of. You can just pick whatever you prefer, and if you, for example, don't like comics, don't like the computer games or anything, you can just pass on them and go further.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's probably all the main basic things that you need to remember when you get into this lore and all, just so you are fine with it. And now I would get to the main talk, but before that, is there anything you would like to ask me? Like, do you have any specific questions you have already or something?
I'm going in this pretty I would almost say blind, you know? I know the things I know about it already are, I know a little bit of the lore of like the medicine boxes in Darktide. And like the heal stations essentially, you know, with the, I forget their names, but I think were they psychers or that sort of thing, where they were hooked up to something?
Psychers? But, yeah, they are psychers, but what exactly about them?
Specifically the med kits in Darktide, or the healing stations in Darktide, they are like people that are hooked up to machines that heal you.
Servitors, yeah.
Yeah, servitors. Yeah. I know a little bit about them. Yeah. from the previous things that I've learned, you know. But I know a little bit there. But I am interested in like kind of the Dark Tide lore about like the God Emperor and that sort of thing, and like the kind of factions around that, you know, like what exactly is the whole deal.
Well, the main thing is actually a trick. God Emperor isn't actually a god. Oh, yeah, okay, now technically he is a god, but here's the funny thing. He never was a god. He never wanted to be a god. He always claimed to be a god. He always claimed not to be a god. When is the part with... Oh, I've got a text on the chat. When is the part with Mr. Horus Heresy? Oh, later on. We are just beginning. But yeah, he was never a god. He never claimed to be one. He always tried to make people understand he's not one, although he was the most powerful psyker in all of the human history.
Mm-hmm.
But some trickery happened, and he kind of died, but also didn't die. And because of this, people with ages, with millennia and passing years started to believe he is actually a god. And because of some things, he's actually started to gain powers, and now he's slowly ascending to be a real god for real.
Okay, so he kind of accidentally came into being a god.
Yeah, although his whole life he was okay, maybe not whole life, but main part of the Warhammer lore, he was trying to get rid of all the religions, because he believed the religions only lead to dividing and conflicts and all stuff like that. And that religion only brings human closer to the warp and to its dangers.
Mm.
And is there anything else that you would like to ask me now, so I can explain before we get with the main part with lore?
Not at this time, no.
Oh, okay. Then let me just get a sip of my tea, because then my throat is already dying. Yeah, actually, it was pretty close.
Powering through.
Because all this week I had a sick throat and sick nose, so I'm just kind of healed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So, Warhammer 40k in general is about grim darkness, grim future. Like, you know, Star Trek, Star Wars and Battlestar, right?
Star Wars and that sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, so in general there are about, like, there is some story, there is enemy, things may be dire, may be hard, but overall the good is gonna win at the end, right?
Right, yeah.
There is no such thing in 40k. Like,
Okay.
authors wanted to make it like the most grim and dark possible future of humanity. Like, with no hope, no future, when the best thing that could possibly happen in your life would be a quick death. Because things because there are things that could torment your body, your mind, your soul, things and people whom you would love and all are possibly so nightmares and all that the best you can achieve is actually a quick death. And this was the aim to achieve, like to portray something different from the mainstream, like good is always gonna win. They wanted to show the most darkness future when everything is ultimately gonna die off.
I see.
Yeah.
They want to just like, it's like a contrast. It's not about it's not really about the heroism, right?
I mean, kind of actually about heroism, yeah, on the field, but the future heroism. So, like, you're gonna make sacrifices, you're gonna do your best, you're gonna ultimately die along your friends and all, but overall, it's gonna just buy other people few more days or years of life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and in general, the story of 40k is There is this galaxy Milky Way we have. The absolutely dominating force is the Imperium of Mankind. Like Imperium conquered practically all of the galaxy, as I already said, almost 1.5 million worlds conquered and colonized. There are few other factions, few other forces, but overall they don't really matter as a single one. For example, one of the youngest factions in the lore, the Tau Empire, which is like a Star Trek in the 40k, so technically good guys, heavily advanced, super advanced lasers and stuff, super stealth units. They have really advanced economy and industry and all. They have like 300 worlds inside them, while the biggest and the grandest realm of Imperium, but also just a single one, consists of 500 worlds. So just like a single realm inside the Imperium of Mankind is bigger than the whole faction. And yeah, I forgot what I wanted to say. So yeah,
You're all good.
yeah, very important thing. And the whole world in 40k is divided into two things, into two like main dimensions: the warp and the real world, so the materium and immaterium. Materium is our real world in which we are, the physical world and all. The warp, so the immaterium, is like is said to be the sea of souls, so like the realm of the dimension of the souls, when souls of all the living sentient beings go after death and all, from which psykers and all these so-called magicians take their powers and all. And technically there are some more. For example, there is also this thing called webway. It's like a warp inside the warp. It's like a artificial construct from the very ancient times, and you can think of it like a maintenance roads of the mall. So like if the whole warp is like the sea of the souls and it's really turbulent, there are plenty of currents, so sometimes it gets really dangerous to be there and travel through it, because you can actually travel through it, and most factions do so. Then,
In the warp?
yeah, they travel through the warp, so to quickly pass, because for example, traveling from one point of the galaxy to another in normal time would, even with a speed of light, would take like I don't know how long, but a really long time. But with warp it's like just 3 months. Yeah, and webway is a construct within it to make the passage safer, to stabilize these currents, so we can pass safely and quick without all these dangers of the warp. So like I said, like a maintenance road inside under the mall. So like you have the mall with all these people, shops and everyone going around this, but in the background you have these roads for the staff and maintenance to pass from one point to another very quickly and without any trouble.
I see.
Yeah, and the warp currently is actually completely overrun by the realm of chaos. Chaos chaos is like a single realm that was because warp is made out of souls and all, and emotions. It's very affected by emotions and feelings. Then there is also a realm that is I forgot the word. It's like depends on the worst feelings that a person may have. So like anger, fear, desire, if they are scared, if they hate, if they are jealous, all these wrong things like negative traits and feelings, go straight into the chaos. And because yeah.
Yeah.
And because of this, the realm of chaos is way more turbulent than the warp itself, and it's contained by a lot of creatures born from these malicious feelings, like demons and all.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the demons are from there, like the demon host.
Yeah, exactly. Demons are born from the warp, and because of this, they don't own physical bodies. They cannot manifest into the real world because of this. They only can interact with people like through some mind control, like sending visions and all, unless there is some rift in the material space. Some natural rift that kind of happened through the time, or because of some sorcery and stuff, because someone wanted to summon a demon. There might be a rift, and inside this rift, because of these powers flowing through it, demons can spawn into the material space. And only then, and even then only for short of time, but even this short of time is absolutely a nightmare, a hell on earth. Because these demons are the embodiment of the feelings that they were born from. So for example, if there is a demon born from anger and the craving for killing, then you may think you may imagine what's gonna happen to those that interact with this demon. I think are demons
Probably get absolutely blasted.
Do demons appear in Dark Tide?
Do what? What appear in Dark Tide?
Demons.
Oh, the demon host do.
Yeah. Oh. Just demon hosts?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Oh. That sucks. It will be way cooler, but... Well... But also I do think that the players then... Like, to be speaking honestly, the level of a demon is is so big that players inside the Dark Tide would only face this as a boss level. Even the weakest demon would be like a hard boss, because they are so powerful. Yeah, and inside the world that is currently completely overrun by chaos, and it basically became the chaos itself. There is plenty of demons, and there is plenty of demons that with time and devoured souls and all became well stronger. And because of this, we have these things like chaos gods, so like the most powerful beings of them all. The three main ones, technically four, but the fourth is the youngest one, and we're gonna get into that later. But three main ones are the Vinch, that is a chaos god of change, of magic, on future, that love to twist things at all. The Nergal, so the god of rot, the death, the sickness, the plague, the stagnation, who loves to create new diseases and spread them on the living beings. The Korn, so the god of war, of bloodshed, of fighting, of killing, and all, who loves the most angry and powerful of his champions, who is said to sit on the throne, and next to his throne is not next to his throne, but his throne is made of skulls and bones of the defeated enemies, or by him, or more like people who killed and sacrificed those skills into his name. And there's also the youngest one, so the Slanesh, so the prince or princess, because although it's not a physical being, it doesn't have a body, it's often portrayed as a hermaphrodite, so with half a body of female and half body of woman and half body of man, and it's a god of the lust, desire, cravings, all the things you may desire, like for example gluttony, physical interactions, and all these things.
Mhm.
And technically there are 4 main gods, but there is also this thing called Chaos Undivided. So like chaos that is not connected to a particular god. Just sometimes they may take powers from them, but overall they are their own thing, and they want to achieve their own thing. Like Vashtor, so like the greater demon, who is like a mechanical god, who loves the machines, the technology and all. Or Belacor, who is said to be the first ever demon prince and the first ever ascended human, who was said to be so feral and all, who committed so many crimes in his life that he was ascended by 4 chaos gods to a rank of demon prince, and now he's trying his best to ascend even that and become the 5th chaos god, official chaos god. So, are you following this so far?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a relief, because my it's been so long since I've been talking so much in English, and yeah, most of
No, you're all good.
Most of the things I have prepared I already forgot to mention. Yeah, I'm not used to those talks and all.
Goku is following too, so you got at least 2 people that are following along right now. So you're doing fine. You're doing great.
Yay! Yatta!
Yatta!
Yeah, I can feel my brain going hot.
Losing it, melting even.
Yeah, did I mention
Getting
to you?
psycho brain blasted.
Yeah, I mentioned to you that time when I was teaching my friend about the lore, when I spent 3 hours going from the very basic to the Horus Heresy, and at the beginning I couldn't even think straight.
Yeah, and you were just yapping about it.
Yeah, and that was only basic. It was just still Warhammer 40k, not 40k.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, do you have any questions before I go further?
So there's 4 main gods, right?
Yeah, four main chaos gods.
Chaos gods.
Do not mistake it with warp gods, because as I said, chaos is just a single realm. It like conquered the whole warp, at least in this particular space of the Milky Way, because Milky Way is one thing and warp is technically inside the whole universe, but it's just a sea of souls. So like in the space, like connected to the Milky Way, it's very strong and heavy, and they are these currents, and you can harbor powers from it, because warp is fueled by the souls of the living. But there is also the space outside of galaxies when there is nothing, and there is I don't remember the term, but it's like this place on the ocean when there is no wind, not everything. Your ship doesn't move at all, and everything is just still, and you stay inside there. So just warp inside this space connected to the Milky Way is just like completely conquered by chaos, but it's still just a single realm. So yeah, there are 4 main chaos gods, but they are not all the warp gods. It's a little tricky, but yeah.
So there are gods in the world, and the God Emperor is like not one of the gods, but like could the God Emperor like be on the same level as as the Chaos gods and the other gods?
Absolutely.
Like the warp gods?
He was actually called the Anathema, so like the only thing the only being that could possibly pose a direct threat to the Chaos Gods. Like the only being the Chaos Gods feared. And there's actually a pretty tricky thing to it, because actually he was stabbed the stuff by the Chaos Gods. But to this maybe we'll get later if possible. But for example, orcs have their own warp gods, the Gork and Mork, that technically aren't official, but they kind of exist. Like Eldars have their own gods, that most of them were killed during the birth of Slanesh, but they have their own gods. The Necrons technically have their gods, and Tau Empire technically is religionless. Like if you have your own religion, they let you believe in it and all, but technically they don't have an official faith. But because but that's only official because somehow another being was born within them, kind of. Like what they believe in is the greater good. Like the idea itself of serving the greater good for the greater future for everyone. But because they consist of the very mix of the creatures and aliens and humans as well, they're also beings that have souls influenced by the warp. Because not every being is like attached to the warp itself. They may don't have souls, or their souls simply don't go into the warp. They are not affected by it, but the most of the beings actually are. Practically all of the humans are, and because there are so many humans, they are like the most, the main power for the warp and for the chaos and all of this. And because they at some point joined the Tau, and some of them started to put their faith into the greater good, the idea itself kind of started forming the not physical but the warp entity, and it kind of became a god now. It wasn't officially stated, like it's not officially an actual entity or being, but there are some indications that it's actually a thing. I'm running out of tea.
Already.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess it's time to get to the actual thing about the lore. So, lore itself, because to explain it properly I need to start from the very beginning. So, the lore itself starts 60 million years in the past. Most of the creatures known now weren't back there. The whole galaxy was practically ruled by a single civilization called the Old Ones. They were like reptiles, they were bipedals, and they were like super advanced civilization, both in psychic ways, both in technology. They could engineer the species to make them evolve further. They are the ones who created the webway I talked to you before. They absolutely owned the warp, and they were kind of good guys. Like they had their own good in the first place, but they also tried to help the species. They helped to make them evolve faster and better. But at some point they bump into species called Necrontyr. They were like pretty similar to the humans, like from their looks, but they have just like very thin stomachs. They had really visible ribs and all, like their chests. But overall they were pretty similar in their looks to the humans, and they called. But unfortunately for them, their main planet from which they originated was orbiting the star that was really weird working. like it spread a lot of radiation. And although this radiation didn't kill the Necrons, they managed to evolve into space-faring species. Their main bodies and their very core, was damaged by this radiation, and because of this, every single one of them, even if they were born outside of this solar system, outside of the star, they were in the very beginning born with something that people in the lore, in the community call the super cancer. So like
Super what?
super cancer.
Super cancer?
Yes. So like super tumor that was growing within them that made them weaker and all, and they were really short-lived, like 30 years. Death at 30 years old was pretty much standard. So
Damn.
they tended to die very easily, and they had no power to get rid of this. Like it was so well within their bodies already because of this whole evolution for these millions of years affected by the star, that they simply couldn't do a single thing about this. And when the old ones bumped into them, the Necrons asked them to help them get rid of this. And it's unsure why. Maybe because one thing, the Necron civilization, because of what I said about this short living, the super cancer and all, their civilization and culture grew really strongly around the cult of death. So like the cult of the ancestors of their death, the building of pyramids, the mummies and all. So they were like space Egyptians, ancient Egyptians. And when they bumped into the old ones and they asked for this help, maybe it was because they were kind of arrogant and old ones feared what they may have do when they stopped being so weakened by this super cancer, or maybe old ones just couldn't do this for some reason because it was so strong, so strong that even they couldn't do a single thing about this, or maybe all the old ones just didn't want to bother with it because no, it's not sure why, but they simply refused. And Necrontyr got pissed off because of this, and they declared the war on the old ones. They got their asses whooped completely. From one point galaxy to the another, they were just completely reduced to like few star system at most. Their whole civilization got practically rid of, and they were just left with what needed to survive.
They got blasted.
Yeah, completely. They posed no threat to the old ones. Like, I think it was more from the desperation than from actual feeling that they can achieve anything. So because of this, Necrontyr understood there is no more future in the Milky Way for them, and if they want to achieve anything, their only chance is the space outside of the galaxy. Maybe there they will find some cure or anything. And they went to the space, and during their travels they bumped into creatures called the Ktans. They were like the sentient massive clouds of gas that were connected. Yeah, they were like a mixtures of gas that were sentient. Yeah. And they were like kind of warp beings, but somehow could appear in the real space, but only as these forms of gas. So no physical bodies. They couldn't interact with the space. They could just travel around it. And the Necrontyr contacted them when they found them, and the Ktans were like, "Oh yeah, that so sucks. You are so sad. We're gonna help you. We're gonna give you stronger bodies. We completely removed with this cancer. We're gonna help you get your revenge all you have to do was to follow us. And as you can probably imagine, this was a pretty trick. They were deceiving them. And that's exactly what
Not
happened.
surprising.
That's exactly what happened. The Necrontyr got completely blinded by this vision of the revenge of the stronger, healthy bodies. They built things under direction of Cthans. They built things called the Soul Forges. Yeah, and they came inside them, and then there is where the whole trick and deceiving happened, because when they entered the Soul Forges, these machines actually destroyed their bodies. Some loud noise was inside my house, and it was actually scary because it's almost 11 p.m. already.
Oh yeah, true. It's late for you.
Yeah, so
You good?
yeah, but yeah, as I said, the Soul Forges completely destroyed and burned the bodies of the Necrontyr. The souls that were harvested from them were devoured by the Cthans, because this was their whole plan, to devour the souls of the Necrontyr, and through this power to manifest into the physical bodies inside the in the material space.
So they stole their bodies by doing that?
Not exactly. They completely destroyed their bodies, and what left, the soul forges, the soul furnaces, was the constructs, like the robots made from the necrodermis, so like super strong alloy that is completely resilient to the destruction. It doesn't wither with the time and all, and they were completely soulless, and they had no sentient. They only followed the will of the Cthans. Despite few more important, more strong beings like the lords, like the chronomancers, so like the mages the Necrontyr had, they kept their sentience, their memories and all. Possibly maybe because the Cthans needed some leaders for the legions that came out, because Necrontyr became just the legions of literal robotic undead, or maybe because Cthans wanted to feed on the despair and the torment the now soulless Necrontyr had, these leaders that kept their sentience. And from this point there is no more Necrontyr, but they are Necrons. So like this another faction that is in the current setting, so the Necrons, that's how they originated. From this deceiving, from the burning their bodies, from devoured souls, and under the rule of the Cthans that manifested into the physical world as absolutely horribly strong beings. Like it was like God stepping into the physical space literally.
Wait, like God stepping in the physical space?
Yeah, Cthans were basically as powerful as gods, and they became the gods of the new Necrons. And then this is the only promise that Cthans delivered, so they went on the full blast against the Old Ones to get rid of them and to conquer whole galaxy for themselves. And the Old Ones, did they think? They tried to fight off them. They actually created two more known species to help them with this fight. One was called the Eldari, so like space elves that were very physically strong, like they moved fast, they were really intelligent, they were pretty skilled in the swordsmanship and all, but their main power was the powers of the warp. Like all of them were psychers, mages. From the from the moment they were born, they already were absolutely powerful and skilled in the powers of the psychic, as well as they had very advanced technology, like almost on par with the old ones, because they were their masters. And the other species were crocs, which are absolutely funny because they are literally the living funguses, like they are walking mushrooms.
Walking mushrooms?
Yeah, crocs were literally the mushrooms that evolved into sentient species. Like, not mushrooms like from Earth Terran point of view, but in general, they are like space mushrooms, kind of thing. And
Space mushrooms.
space mushrooms, yeah. And what's more, they were actually really feral. Like, their main thing was that they loved to fight, to kill and all, especially because they didn't really have nerve system really developed, so they didn't feel the pain and all of this like other beings. But also they were enhanced by the old ones, so they were really strong, really tough, like they were the bodies, like that one fat bully that you were scared of as a first grader, kind of thing, that always stole your lunch money and all of this. They were like them, but actually they were also intelligent. They had advanced technology as well, maybe not as much as old ones or elderly, but also advanced. And their main power was that when there was just like a single orc, it couldn't do much. But if there were plenty of orcs around, like there were a group of them, then the more of them were, the stronger they could bend the laws of the physics, like with the warp. Because this is what the powers of the warp do. They allow you to bend the rules of the physics, the rules of the reality, and this is what the crocs could do. Like, if there were enough of them and they believed in something, they wanted something to achieve, then they could achieve it. The stronger, the more they were around. And the crocs, Endari and Old Ones went into the war against the Necrons and their lords Titans, and they tried to fight. The planets got destroyed, the stars got destroyed, but ultimately the Old Ones lost. It's unsure what happened to them, whether they went somewhere into the hiding, whether they fled from the galaxy, or they straightly just got eradicated. But there is simply no more Old Ones from this point on in the galaxy. They are only Titans who conquered all of the galaxy and were the last one standing. But also because Titans weren't physical beings from the very beginning, they didn't have feelings like physical creatures. They didn't also have the compassion for their companions, for the fellow Titans. And because of this, the moment the Old Ones vanished, they went to the find for the powers among themselves. To like kill each other and harvest the powers from each other. And when they started blasting, when they started fighting and kind of wearing themselves down, this is the moment the Necrons took for the liberty. Like, their leaders revolted, and they used their powers to destroy Titans, to spread them into shards, each shard as powerful as the star practically, or even stronger. And then they took these shards and locked them into their furnaces in their engines to use their powers from now on as the source of the fuel. Like,
in the Soul Forge?
Not Soul Forge. Like, their engines, like Soul Forges was what burned their bodies and harvested their souls. And after all the Necron got eaten, the Soul Forges were no more because they were not needed. And what the Necrons have done was simply lock this Ktans, like enslave it, and build around of this like engines or simply the machinery to harvest power from it, like nuclear reactors kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when they were done with it, when they got all this power from the Ktans, they went into the war into the other beings. Oh, maybe go Q-Black. Thank you for the follow. And yeah, Necrons, after they enslaved the Ktans, went into this whole war against all the living beings because they were under complete torment. They regretted what happened to them. They, despite their bodies, they wanted to get physical bodies as much as possible, but also they hated every other living beings because of the very fact they had their bodies still. So they went on this war against them, against the Eldars, against the Krogs, and they kept fighting and all as before. But at some point they kind of started to lose, and they saw they have problems and they may lose this whole war. So they decided, hey, we have these immortal bodies. Time is nothing to us. Let's go into hiding. Let's build our tomb wards. Let's hide underground. Time will pass. These beings will at some point wither down. They will forget about us, and when they will won't expect, we will arise and then get them from the surprise and conquer the galaxy for ourselves.
Nice new person to learn with us. Yeah. As a swift death. There we go. Welcome back? Question mark?
Hello. Sorry.
Hello. Welcome back. You cut out as you prophesized.
Yeah, I froze. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the last thing I said?
It floated out of my head because I was so distracted by you freezing. You got revived? Yes.
Yeah. As I said before the stream to Sam, my PC is malfunctioning, my disk is broken, I need to buy a new one, but actually I have to replace all of the stuffing in my PC, and it loves to freeze from time to time randomly for around 1 minute. So sorry for that. What's funny, sometimes it cut-offs me from Discord, sometimes not. Apparently this time it did. So
it's being nice today.
Sorry?
It's being nice today. It's being gentle, because that was not a minute, And it didn't cut you out of the call too.
No, not at all. It actually kept freezing a lot today.
Oh.
Yeah. And because of that I no longer play League of Legends. Because I cannot, because it keeps freezing.
I want to play League of Legends, huh?
Yeah, I do from time to time whenever I feel like. And what's more, my main champion is Timo, so like I'm already hated from the very beginning.
Even I've heard of that, and I don't play League. Should both play it and stream it. We should play League and stream it. I've been told I'm not allowed to play League. I've been banned by some people, so...
This is why you should play it, especially to make them suffer.
Make them suffer? Yeah, said yes. What's up, Trixie?
Yeah, and what's more, I have almost million mastery points on this team.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and the next one is Nasus with like 100,000. So I'm basically an OTP at this point.
Man, no League. I'm being bonked. See, I'm being bonked in chat right now just for considering League. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do it. I've been playing Supervive though. If that's a MOBA too, a little battle royale. So that's tickling the urge.
The only MOBA I play is League of Legends. and
Yeah.
only because my friend brought me to it, like, already I think 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And it just kind of stuck with me to play. Like, I had months of break from time to time, and other times I would play days long, like typically. But overall, I just keep playing it because I keep playing, even it's annoying as hell most of the time.
It's like it's like a nostalgic game for you because it's been so long, right?
Yeah, kind of like Minecraft. First,
Exactly.
First you don't play for a year, and then you play for a few months non-stop.
Yeah, sometimes you just get locked in. You hyperfixate on it a little bit, and you're in it. You know.
Exactly. Everyone has games.
I get it.
Everyone has games like that.
Yeah, I have games like Overwatch is like that for me. I played it like, oh god, it's an old game now. It's like 9+ years old or something. Yeah, like I played it like 9 years ago.
I believe it came out in 2016, if not before.
2016. Okay, yeah, 2016. Yeah. Oh god. Oh Jesus. Yeah.
And I never played it.
Oh man.
And I
Wow.
never played it.
Yeah.
Because by the time I became an adult and I had my money and I could spend them on games, Overwatch was already a passé and no one played it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's still played now. I still play it from time to time.
I mean, now it kind of got a second life.
wind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. But before people kill us, back to the main topic. So like,
Back to learning.
I'm not sure at which point I stopped. So like, Necrons enslaved the Ktans and they went to the war against all the living beings. Oh.
Yes.
Hello. Guess who appeared? A bot on chat. A scamming bot.
I got our favorite.
Yeah.
We ban those, on site. It's on site with them.
Yeah. And what was the way to delete it?
You can click on their name and then click on the ban button on the little circle that's like got a slash mark in it.
Oh yeah. Okay, banned. Because I think that before you could just remove it.
Yes.
Anyway, so yeah, Necron started the war with all the living beings because they hated it. They were jealous of the fact that they still had bodies and all. And at some point they started to lose the war because it was like 2 versus 1 because Krorks and Eldars and all. And they thought, hey, we are practically immortal. Time means nothing to us. We can just go into hiding into the underground. We can let the time pass. We can let them think they have won. With time, with the millenniums, with the millions of years, they will wither down. They will forget about us. They will become weaker while we still maintain our strength. Then we will rise again and attack them from surprise and then get rid of them ultimately. And as they thought, they did, and they built their tomb worlds. They went into the hiding, like under the underground. They built their vast chambers. When their forces went to like endless sleep. But my throat is dying. Start.
Yeah. Goku is asking if you need a rest because you've been talking an hour.
Nah, it's fine. I just need a drink. Luckily, I have a bottle of Coca-Cola next to me. Yeah, so Necrons went to the hiding. They built the tomb worlds, so like chambers deep into underground, with like the system that they will wake up in millennia of time.
Oh.
Yeah, and after that, kind of things started to be peaceful in the galaxy. Like Eldars basically became the sole overlords as the most advanced and civilized species. The Krorks loved to fight, so they started their and because there were no practically direct enemies and any worthy enemies of them for them, they started to fight each other. Because of that, with millions of years, they kept deteriorating into what's called now the orcs. So like Krorks became the today's orcs. So like also very violent species, very very angry, but also smaller, weaker, far less advanced, because they also became stupid as a fucking brick. Like for example, if you now look down at your boots or your socks, then there is a very big chance your boots would have a bigger IQ than those orcs.
Yeah, okay. I'm looking at my boots right now. I see it.
Yeah, and there is very big chance they would have bigger IQ than those orcs.
So what are Ogrins in comparison? Are those like a fully different species?
Yeah, Ogrins are another thing. We're actually getting into it now, but Ogrins are the uphumans. So like the humans that because of some reasons mutated with ages. Because, as I said, Galaxy went kind of peaceful after this last war with the Necrons. And time flies up till Warhammer 40k, so like 20th millennium more or less. Technically it's 19th, but it doesn't really matter. The humanity for the first time like unites and goes into the stars to colonialize, to build the first ever Imperium on their spaceships, on their arcs. And what they sent first are things called the Men of Iron. So like gigantic robots who are designed to go into the planets, to terraform them, to make them habitable for humans, to get rid of any specific threat that they may encounter. They were sentient, they were really smart actually, and they followed all the orders of the humans. And they were like went to the very distant parts of the space, like they would build their world and then wait for centuries for the first ever colonial ships to arrive at the said planet. And then the first human empire ever started to create. They grew up actually pretty big. They were super advanced civilization, like this time is called the Golden Age of technology, because humanity was super absolutely advanced, like practically at the same level of the Eldars. Like they could absolutely build anything. They could harvest all power from the stars. They could easily terraform planets. They had super advanced genetics. They had things called the Titans. I'm not sure if you have heard about the Titans.
No, I don't think so. I don't remember.
No, so the Titans are like enormous robots designed as the weapons. So like their main purpose at the very beginning were as stationary planetary defense forces. So like legions of robots that were hundreds of meters high, that had absolutely horribly strong power weapons, like plasma guns that could obliterate whole army in a second. Like they were beings of fear in the first place. This was the thing that that other species feared, because a single legion of these titans could easily wipe out the whole species from the existence. Okay, maybe not a single legion, but basically they were really strong, and now they are the main firepower in the Warhammer 40k for the humanity. Like their main forces, their main weapons, and they are treated as the as something close to the holy, like and saint. And basically, humans were advanced, just advanced. This was the peak of their technology, and they actually had pretty good relationship with other species in the galaxy. They traded a lot, they had allies, but then things started to go wrong. Like, it was when the Psykers started to be born, like the first psionics started to manifest their powers, like telekinesis, they could see the future sometimes, the pyromancy, all this stuff, and also they started to mutate. The first mutants started to be born, and they were called the navigators. So like they had the power to travel through the warp, or rather to navigate through the warp, because as I said, the warp was a pretty dangerous place to travel, because this was this whole there was this currents, and you could never be able to tell when and where you're gonna go out, because time also didn't work in the warp as in other places. So you could enter it in one time in one space, and then leave it in the very same space but thousands of years later, or on the other side of the galaxy but just a week later. So it was, you could never tell what exactly where exactly are you going and where. And navigators had this powers, like they could navigate through it. So the translation and the traveling through the warp actually became a possibility and became way safer. And because it was so pretty cheaper and safer and faster and all, the humanity started to depend on it completely. Like, why travel with the speed of light when the traveling through the warp is way faster at the lower cost. And technically these Psykers, these mutants, were persecuted at the very beginning. Very people weren't fond of them, they feared them. Plenty of the times actually it was justified, because the powers of the warp can twist your mind, and if you are not prepared well, you can go all crazy and start killing and destroying everything around you. And because Psykers can be absolutely strong and powerful, they could easily destroy whole cities and countries if they wanted. I mean, that would require a very rare and powerful Psyker, but that's totally a possibility. So
I see, yeah. I remember hearing that.
Yeah, so very often these Psykers were just killed on the very time they were spotted as the Psykers. Like, you are not Psyker from the time you were born, or rather you are, but at some point you just have to awaken these powers, you know? Like, at some point you just wake up and, holy shit, I can shoot thunders from my fingers.
So they just awaken with like age or whatever?
With age, with some specific situation. Like, it can happen even if you are a small child, but also someone really old. It's never stated, but it's mostly when you are either a young child or a teenager, somewhere around this.
I see.
Yeah, you can also have these powers if you sacrifice your soul and your being to the gods, to the chaos gods, to the demons. If you reach out to them, they can also lend you their powers and make you a stronger psychic. But also because of this, you become this. You can become possessed. You can
become like an evil psyker by doing it to like the evil, like the chaos gods and like demons and shit.
You know what's funniest? You can become that even if you don't want even if you don't want to serve the chaos gods or anything, or you just want to do it for the good. Because for example, if you have sick family and all, like no treatment, some plague, no treatment for it developed, there is nothing you can do for it, and you start praying for their coming to health, for they getting better, or just try to do something about this with your psionic powers, you may get discovered by the Nurgle. And because of this, Nurgle may lay their eyes on you, gets interested in you, and although either make some of his lesser demons possess you straight, or give you his powers, but also basically makes you his slave and champion and his servant, or just make it even worse, this plague, and makes the body of this sick person like start rotting, and inflicts it with the powers of this chaos, and makes it like use it as some kind of beacon for the rift in the reality to happen. And from this rift, from this single sick person, the rift may appear, and the demons of Nurgle, so like rotting, stinky bodies, crawl out like toxic flies, like they are really gruesome, and I don't want to depict them, but yeah, this can happen.
Yeah, I know Nurgle like wants to spread the plague, right? Like they're the god of like disease and shit like that.
Yeah, funny enough, Nurgle is also the god of life. Like he loves the stagnation. He loves the life to be preserved. Like you want you to live, but at the same time he wants all the bacteria, the worms and all to live as well, and to live to feed on your body, and at some point for you to die, and from your death, from your rotting body, from a corpse, the other beings also to rise, like all these worms and everything else.
Like all life, like he's giving it to like humans in like the cycle of life, right?
Yeah, exactly. But because of he is chaotic, because it may sound cool, like, oh yeah, we're gonna live long, we're not gonna suffer from the sicknesses, from plagues. Even if we are sick, we're not gonna feel it. He's gonna grant it to us. But it's a trick, because he is chaotic. He's gonna also twist it in the most horrible way. Like your body is gonna start rotting, it's gonna start bloating. There may be some wounds to appear from which the pus is gonna crawl out. Some insects may start to crawl under your skin and get out of this. Your very touch may inflict the plague on the other beings, on the other things. Like metal will rot, the trees will rot, and everything will just become corrupted. Like for example with Slaanesh. Slaanesh, as every warp god has their own realm in the chaos in the world, and it's said that Slaanesh has the palace of the pleasure, because Slaanesh is basically the chaos god of the pleasure, and it's said that in this palace there's countless floors, and each one with a thing that you may desire, but twisted in some corrupted way. For example, there is the floor filled with the most delicious, beautiful food that you may ever think. But for example, there is like fontaine with the most delicious what's it called? Dubai?
Fondue and that sort of thing?
Dubai chocolate. Oh, it's super popular now Dubai chocolate.
Oh, the chocolate? Yeah.
Yeah, there is like this fountain filled with chocolate, but in this fountain also floats the parts of dead bodies. Yeah.
So it's like messed up in some way.
It's completely messed up, because think about chaos is it never stops. If you want something, it's gonna give you, but at the same time, like with a drug, you're gonna need more. Like with Slanesh, it starts easily. Like you just want this cake, you just want this delicious chocolate, you just want this super delicious meal. But at some point, you're gonna get bored with it, and you're gonna go like, oh, I want to eat this cow alive. Oh, I wanna eat this young newborn boy or anything like that. Yeah, this is exactly the point with chaos. It's never stopped with the desire and twisting your feelings. It never starts like heavily. It never starts with the strong, with some horrible thing at the very beginning. It always starts small, with like, oh, just stealing this candy from the local store or anything, and then when you don't even know, when time passes and you are like the head leader of some mafia gang that keeps robbing something. Yeah, and back to the main thing, like I said, humanity is at their peak. They have these navigators and psychers getting born and all, but so far things are pretty peaceful and good for them. They are well doing. But at this time, the said Mane of Iron, these robots that were basically slaves to them, revolted, like in Terminator and these other plenty of series and franchises. They rebelled against the humanity and wanted to overrun them and destroy all the humans from the space. And because they were so powerful, they were so mighty, even for humans, they posed the real threat to the point where the humanity couldn't do shit just by themselves to them. They couldn't win. Because of this, they reached out to their alien allies, but then these allies turned their backs on the humanity and decided, not our war, we're not gonna get into it. But the things changed when this Mane of Iron started to pose a threat to those aliens as well. And because of this, the aliens decided, okay, fine, we will help you. This is starting to become a problem for us as well. They started to kill our colonies as well. Alright, we will help you. And even with that help, it really took a really long time and real strong measures to win them to destroy the Man of Iron, and it was really close to losing the whole thing. Like, it was very dire time, and it's also when this hatred for the sentient artificial intelligence appeared in the humanity. Like, it was the base for it, for this hatred that is in the Warhammer 40k. Because of this rebellion, later on God Emperor put the idea sentient artificial intelligence cannot be trusted. Because of this Man of Iron rebellion. After this, right, are you following so far?
Wait, what do you mean can't be trusted? Like, because
even if something like, alright, we've had one rebellion, they rebelled against us once. If they did, they can rebel another time. Therefore, they cannot be trusted. We cannot make the enemies for ourselves by our own hands. So from this point on, the sentient artificial intelligence is banned. And that's why there are servitors in the setting, because since they cannot use sentient artificial intelligence, but somehow it's still needed for like operating, for like doing stuff, they then simply lobotomize people, like criminals or even just normal unlucky passerbys, and they turn them into like lobotomized androids and use the power of their brains, like their nervous systems, to be used instead of this artificial intelligence.
Those servitors were
Were absolutely normal humans that because of some reason, whether they committed a crime or whether they were just unlucky, got lobotomized, like their brain, their minds
they took like the important parts of them and like that like made them like a kind of human with like the nervous system and stuff, and they turned them into like
they basically were turned into androids with no brain functions, just their brains were turned into like simple computers, and they only did what they had to do, but they had no personal thinking and feelings and everything. They were just robots, but in human body. With a little trick, because depending on the function the servitor has to do, it needs more brain functions. For example, there are servitors made only for opening the doors. So for this you don't really need some high functionality, but also there are servitors who, for example, manage the not bureaucracy, but some heavy important data, some heavy calculating and all. And for that you need a lot of brain functionality and a lot of brain power. And because of this, sometimes the servitor can regain their consciousness and they wake up as some horrible abomination attached to some machine used only as a tool for like a fucking calculator.
Yeah, that's tragic. I do remember that a little bit. That some were able to like get consciousness and like they're kind of stuck, right? Like there's nothing you can really do about it.
Yeah, they can only suffer, and often in silence, because they maybe also have like removed throats and everything, so they cannot even scream.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's a woof woof.
As I said, grim darkness, yay!
Yeah.
And you know what? That's not even the worst thing that can happen to you in this universe.
No?
Like not even... Okay, maybe in the top 10, but definitely not in the high point.
Damn. Not even top 5?
Maybe top 5, but I would rather put it somewhere on 6 or 7. They are way more horrible things that can possibly happen to you. Trust me. As I said,
that's crazy.
There are plenty of things that I don't want to say on stream because simply that would require stuff to talk about stuff that Twitch and YouTube doesn't really like.
That's fair. So there's dubious stuff, but that's for a different
as I said,
different life.
If you want, I can give you some titles and you can look them up for yourself.
Yeah.
For example,
I'll take them.
If you have on your chat someone more like who knows more about this setting, the Warhammer 40k and all, they may probably know what is a Demon Kuraba. It's a pretty tricky word, so I'm gonna send it to you later, maybe after stream. But
okay,
trust me, you're not gonna like what you're gonna read about this.
Okay. Will do, I'll take it. I'm interested.
Funny. But yeah, so what was it? Oh yes, Man of Iron, yeah. So humanity managed to somehow fend off the Men of Iron, destroy most of them. Not all, but most of them. And then time passes again. Somehow things start to look good again for once. But then very, very bad stuff happened. To be exact, we got back to the Eldars. Because as I said, Eldars were basically were still in this universe. They were there were no more threats to them, so they just kept like overloading the galaxy and all, like the good guys, the Watchers, who just thought of all the other species as inferior to them. And because they were long-lived, like they could live for millennia, there was practically no threat to them, like, so they kind of started to degenerate. So like I said, with chaos, things started to go mundane for them. They started to dive into seeking of pleasure and everything like that. They wanted more and more, the more drastic and obscure, perverted situations, orgies and stuff. And because all of them were also absolutely powerful psychers, and they at this time there were plenty of them in the galaxy, the shit started to happen. Some of them discovered what's happening, some of them managed to flee from their like main capital world that was heavily populated, but most of them didn't. And because of that, at some point, through this obscure behavior and all, they gave birth to the fourth chaos god of pleasure and decadence, the Slanesh. They made the Slanesh, yeah, basically.
They made the god?
Yeah, because as I said, the warp is directed, what was the word? Is affected. It's affected by the souls, by the minds, by the feelings of the living beings. And because of this, the chaos gods were born from it. Like, Zinch was born from the fear about the uncertain future, about the changes and all. Nurgle was born from the fear of sickness, of plague, of dying and all. Korn was born from the fear about the enemies, about war, like from the desire to protect your... Oh, I found the teacher's channel. Maybe go blue back. Ah. Nice. Yeah. Korn was born from this anger, from the desire to kill enemies, and all from the desire to also from the desire to protect your family and all. And Slanesh was born at this moment from the desire for pleasure, for seeking the pleasure, for decadence and all. And during this birth, because it's a massive thing, like the new god has been born, it caused such an such a powerful eruption in the warp that it completely shadowed the whole space. Like the whole planet of Eldars, this capital, became this kind of destroyed. It was directly brought into the warp. It became a straightly rift in the space itself, allowing the power from the warp to pass from it without any issues. And also it also overshadowed the whole space and warp for the millennia. Like the travel through the warp in this time was absolutely impossible, because if normally warp is like the ocean, so like it's more or less dangerous, but overall you can pass from it. Then it became the Nordic Sea during the storm. Like the passage became completely impossible, and everything going there like meant for you to just die already, die from the moment you enter it. Yeah, and as I said, because humanity, their first imperium, was so much turned so much into the travel through the warp, like their whole logistics depended on it. they got completely cut off from each other. Like whole worlds became separated one from each other. And it may not sound so bad, but if you imagine, like, these colonies were directed mostly for some purpose. For example, there were worlds that they were just for industry. So like you had world made completely of factories, and they heavily depended on the worlds that were made only for agriculture and harvesting food. And suddenly all these resources, all this food will never again come there with another transport. There is like billions of population on the planet, and suddenly the source of food got shut off.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was what happened to the whole human empire. In the one moment it got completely destroyed, and it was no longer an imperium but more like hundreds of thousands of separate planets.
They got separated.
Yeah, completely. And from this moment, oh right, because I forgot to mention one thing. After the rebellion of Men of Iron, so when the technology of humanity turned on themselves, and from this moment when this whole shit with Slanesh happened and the first human empire fell, this age is called from this point on the Age of Strife. From this moment that empire fell until Emperor united the earth and started his Great Crusade, so few millennia, like 4 millennia into the future. But also it's called no longer a golden age of technology, but the dark age of technology.
This is happening at the same time as like Slaanesh being born, or before?
After.
After, okay.
Yeah. After Slaanesh was born, after it appeared for the first time, but also here's the thing with Chaos Gods. Technically, they appear at some point, but at the same time they were always, just typical shit for the mind to go bonkers and to sound cool.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, but from this moment where Slaanesh was born, Galaxy and Wolf became completely twisted, and the Age of Strife became. And during this time, because as I said, humans highly depended on the warp travel, as well as some other species, but most of them actually used normal space faring. Some of them tried to help humans, their allies, as before, doing their according to the tracks and everything, but most of them actually started to hunt humans, like, because this whole powerful imperium that became literal hegemon and no one could do anything to them without being destroyed, now became weakened. They could do anything to them, do what they wanted, and thus they started to attack their worlds, their planets, to harvest resources, to get slaves for their works, or just simply to kill them all because they could, to take over their planets. And this exactly brought the second main idea of the Emperor. So the alien cannot be trusted, because aliens showed that they cannot be trusted, that in the most dire time for humanity they didn't even help, but not only that, they used this as an opportunity to attack humans, to do whatever they could with them. And because of that, the Emperor decided the aliens, the Xenos, cannot be trusted, and to ensure our safety in the galaxy we have to get rid of them. So Suffer No Xenos comes from this Age of Strife, when the first human empire fell, and and the aliens started to take advantage of the separated human worlds.
I see. So humanity was getting screwed over after that point.
Completely, like, it was very close to the extinction, because it may not sound gruesome, like, oh, what's a single word? But the words have a very various population, because they are words which are like few millions of population, but at the same time there are things called the hive words, for example, or hive cities on these words. And hive city is like absolutely enormous megalopolis, like a very very big city, and a single city can have like a few billions of people, like 100 billions of people inside a single city.
Wait, 100 billion people inside a single city?
Yes.
That's crazy. How do they fit it? How big is it?
Big in width, like in the long. Some of them may be as big as smaller countries, but in tall, it varies on the city. But the most popular one is stated to be like 10 kilometers tall.
Oh.
But there is also countless layers of the bottom, like in the background, deeper and deeper into the ground. And how do you feel it? That's actually a good question that you make now, because you actually don't. As I said, food sources were cut off in this very time, so they had pretty dire time with it. They had to somehow find some solution. So like they started to make their own artificial fields, like they tried to make their own plants and all, but at the same time it would never give enough food to feed everyone. So also they came up with solution that, hey, maybe let's just make the trash, the what's normally thrown out, to make edible again. And that's how we come. Okay, some people, some cities, some words made it good, like more or less good, like they started to harvest some mushrooms or anything, or they managed to get by traveling through just space to the other worlds and trade somehow some food from maybe aliens or other human worlds that were close enough. But very plenty of worlds, especially the Necromunda, so the one on which I think the dark tide is happening, started to do thing called the corpse starch. So like the canned minced quote-unquote meat that was harvested from various sources, like like the least gruesome one is that it's made from larvas that are fed to which it's made from larvas who are fed with like corpses of dead people, with like trash, with leftover food that was absolutely not eatable anymore. But also like Necromunda, they actually made it straight from the dead bodies, from the corpses, and they just simply somehow twist it and radiate it to make it
This is like the era of cannibalism in a way.
Yeah, totally. Like it was kind of their only source, their only resource, but it's still absolutely horrible, and it's happening even more in Warhammer 40k.
Hmm.
So now you know how they feed them.
So that's how they resolve the food crisis.
Yeah, I mean, hundreds, billions of people in the single city, and on a planet you can have several cities. So like a single planet may house as well like 1 trillion people in total. Like it's totally possible in Warhammer 40k, and now you know why numbers do not matter.
Hmm. Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. And yeah, Age of Strife happened, all of this that I have talked about. Time flies, and somehow it reaches almost the 30th century. Then, from the shadows on the earth, which also were cradle world of the humanity, so it was highly populated, it was already plenty of people there, and things were pretty dire when this whole stuff happened, when they were cut off from everyone else. And because of that, the whole world divided into various countries. They started to fight with each other for resources. The earth basically became a radiated desert. The oceans were told. The oceans are told to be dried off from the nuclear bombing, and it basically became just on the verge of being habitable. But still it was quite densely populated when the Emperor emerged for the first time, like publicly. Because here's the thing about Emperor, technically he is the oldest human to be known. Like he was born around 7,000 years before the Jesus. Yeah, and he was like from the very beginning super powerful psyker, and he was traveling through the ages around the earth, trying to direct the humanity toward the greater future. Somehow he managed to work it out, somehow he didn't, but overall he was around the humanity for all this time. And then after this Age of Strife, when the warp finally started to calm down, and it wasn't such a problem anymore, he emerged on the Earth and with his armies, because he's built a secret laboratory under Tibet in Himalayas. And then he had his laboratory of genetics to enhance humans and all, and he made his genetically enhanced warriors, the Adeptus Custodes, so like super greatest warriors. His technically best work, like his personal guard, each of them like 3 meters tall, super strong, super fast, absolutely advanced with thinking and all. They were simply amplified in every single way you may think of, as well as standard warriors, so like slightly genetically enhanced humans that were the first stepping stone on the way to create the Space Marines. Like they were stronger, they were tougher than normal humans, but at the same time they were more fiercest and they were hard to control. And Emperor used these armies to conquer the Earth, to unite it for the first time. For the first time in some time, to be exact. At the same time he made these 2 ideas. At the very beginning there were just 2 of him. So like suffer no sentient artificial intelligence and suffer no xenos to live. Like the humanity has to conquer the stars and rule over the whole galaxy by it just itself. And then he got rid of the 1,000 warriors who were pretty hard to control, and they could pose the real threat to him and his plans. So instead he created, so he murdered them and instead created the Space Marines. His legions, at the very beginning there were just 20 legions of Space Marines, and he used them to conquer the rest of the solar system, so the Luna, so the Moon, and the Mars, and then he launched his Great Crusade to conquer the stars.
Is that where Space Marines came from then? The game?
Yeah. Space Marine, the game is about the Space Marines, to be exact, the Adeptus Astartes. And here's the funny thing about the naming in Warhammer. Adeptus Astartes doesn't come from any specific like terminology and all. It comes from the name of the main scientist who helped to create them, who was called the Amar Astarte. Like, in Warhammer 40k, things love to be named by their scientist, like engineer or someone who discovered them. For example, the main point of the work of the human empire is to recover the technology lost during the age of strife and from this dark age of technology. And people who manage to recover somehow get really wealthy. That's the first thing. For example, three guardsmen once discovered an STC. So like the STC is like a supercomputer filled with blueprints for producing something. And three guardsmen, so common troopers, discovered an STC that could make only one thing, and which was the future combat knives for the Space Marines. And and for this discovery, every single one of them was granted with their own planet.
Granted their own planet?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Alright. And I forgot to mention, at the very beginning, every single of these 20 legions consisted of just 10,000 Space Marines. But with time they grew up in forces to the point where they had like hundreds of thousands of Space Marines each. More or less, because they were fighting, they were destroyed at some point, so the numbers thinned, but there was a time when there were like millions of Space Marines at the very beginning fighting the wars for the God Emperor. Oh, for the Emperor then, because Emperor was still walking along other his forces. And I really need a break now.
You're all good.
Yeah.
Feel free if you want to take a break for a minute, that's all good.
Yeah, it's more like I need a stretching.
Yeah.
If you have any questions now?
Should have written it down. I was thinking. So, okay. So the elders, right? What exactly were those are a different race, right?
Yeah.
Compared to like the humans and that sort of thing. They're like more advanced than humans.
Yeah. As I said, it's
So
a complete separatist species created at some point by Old Ones during the War in Heaven. So like this thing I told you at the very beginning, this war with the Titans was called the War in Heavens.
See.
And what about them?
So there were psychers that were elders, right? Or was psychers limited to humans?
No. Like all elders are psychers. some humans, they are pretty rare, but also are psychers, and every being who have their soul like attached to the warp can become a psyker.
So they have to have like a soul to like be a psyker to
Yeah.
connect.
Yeah, exactly. And he's actually a good point about this, because as I said, Eldars gave birth to the Slaanesh through their actions, and most of their race during that time got devoured by the Slaanesh in the moment of its birth, and ever since then they were also cursed by Slaanesh, like because it was born from them. Then after their death, the souls of the Eldars would go straight to the Slaanesh to be devoured. Like, it was absolutely nightmare. They absolutely feared it, and even though every single one was like long-lived and they could live for millennia until they died of age, at some point they would, as well as they could be in accident, they could die in fight, so they were absolutely scared about this, and thus they at some point created something called the soul stones, so like gems to which they connected their own souls and their own being, so after their death their soul would go into the soul stone, instead getting devoured by the Slaanesh.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, and because before you asked about Ogrins, right?
Yeah.
And I said they are humans, because when humanity in this Warhammer 40k, right? Because what I said before was Warhammer 20k, so the 20th millennium. What I talked now is Warhammer 40k, so the 30th millennium finally, when Emperor started his Great Crusade, when the Horus Heresy happened, and then later on there is Warhammer 40k, so the 40th millennium. And when humanity started colonizing worlds, there were my tongue is twisted. And there were various worlds, like some of them have a stronger gravity than the Earth, some had lighter and all, and very different like environment. And because of this, the humans who lived there started to adjust and evolve. For example, there is this pretty new faction that comes from the center of the galaxy when the forgotten colonies of humanity from the planets with a very high gravitation. So they grew pretty short and bulky and became the space dwarfs, and they are called the Leaks of Wotan. But there were also humans who simply evolved through various mutations, either from the world or through genetical enhancement. So like, for example, there are literally fairies in this setting.
Fairies?
Fairies, yeah, because some nobles decided they want their servants to look fancier, so they may genetically enhance them to have like animal features like ears, tails and stuff. And Ogrins are just one of these mutated humans, because all the mutants are called the uphumans, at least the mutants that come from human. And depending on how much you can provide, you can be either sanctioned, so like you are deemed, okay, you are mutants, you are an abomination, but you are actually useful, and your mutation isn't some kind of severe or something, okay, you may live. But at some point, there are also mutants that aren't as useful, or they mutated so much their look steers a lot from how normal humans look, or are just very potent to be corrupted by chaos. they go like, oh no, you cannot live, suffer no mutant to live, and they get eradicated. And because Ogrins are dumb as fuck, but at the same time very strong and very loyal, they are simply used as the troopers, and they are sanctioned up humans.
I see. Yeah, because I'm most familiar with all the beings that are in Darktide, you know? I'm always partial towards Psychers and anything to do with Psychers, especially since I like that sort of thing. I like their abilities, and my main class in Darktide is a Psyker, so I'm like, that's my people right there, you know?
I think you say that because I'm actually also a player. I build my models and army, and my main army are the Space Marines, and to be more exact, it's a chapter called the Grey Knights. They are the demon hunters, so they were like created just to hunt heretics and demons and all of this, and all of them, every single one of them is made of a psyche.
No.
Yeah, it's funny connection.
Yeah, big fan, big enjoyer.
Yeah, and absolutely they look gorgeous. Because technically they are all about purity and all, and because of this they don't really paint their armors, like they go with the bare steel look, but at the same time they've got a lot of ornaments on them, like seals, like I don't know words for it, but just a lot of ornaments on their armors.
I see.
Okay, breaks over. Time to go back. So, as I said, Emperor launched his Great Crusade with his 20 legions of Space Marines, supported by the Titan legions, supported by the Solar Auxilia, so the common troopers that were later on transferred into what is known as Imperial Guard or Astra Militarum. But beside this, Emperor had this project called the Primarchs. Primarchs were like supposed to be the generals of the Space Marines. And to achieve this project, during the Age of Strife, Emperor went himself to the warp. He contacted the Chaos Gods, tricked them that he's gonna be their student, he's gonna learn everything from them, and then he's gonna make the galaxy into one big warp rift for them to emerge into the real space. For this, he learned everything about the warp that he possibly could from them. He learned all of their tricks, of all their powers, and he took from them 20 souls, like super impacted by the warp, super influenced, to transfer them into the physical bodies, so he could make super absolutely powerful humans that would lead his great armies in this conquest of the galaxy. For this, he took part of his genome, his DNA, and part of the DNA from another powerful female psyker called Erda, and that's how he created his 20 sons called the Primarchs, to each of them he transferred those 20 souls. But when this project was at the verge of finishing, like they were practically done and ready to get out of the vaults in which they have been like created, the Chaos Gods discovered that they were fooled by the Emperor, and they manipulated this plan. They stole these vaults so they could create, make these Primarchs grew as they wanted, not as the Emperor wanted. And the only thing that Emperor could do with this is just don't let the Chaos Gods take those Primarchs directly, but twisted this portal which opened over the walls, and instead make them spread around the galaxy on the planets habitated by humans. So each vault landed at some habitated planet, and the main plan for each of the Legion was to discover their own Primarch, because the Astartes are made from the humans who were genetically enhanced not only like with organs, because they have like 16 additional organs. For example, the second heart, the third lung, they have like the organ that that allows them to eat the brain of their enemy, and through this get their memories and plans and what they were thinking about.
What the?
Or organs that help with getting rid of poisons, so they cannot get poisoned, they are more resilient to sickness and all. But also main thing was the gen seed, so like seed taken from the DNA of each Primarch that had parts of its powers, because every single Primarch had this warp inflicted soul. Also, they also each gained some kind of a power. Yeah, and those Astartes had this gen seed. It contained like their, it's difficult to explain what exactly it is, but it simply made the Astartes what they are, and it kind of make them very attached to their original Primarch, to their father, because it was also a kind of prevention to avoid them revolting, because because they were like subconsciously had this inside feeling that, oh, this is my Primarch, this is my father, I'm so attached to him, I cannot go against his will, and all of this. And because of this, they had this very strong urge and plan and mission to find their Primarch, their father, and to return to him. And so the Great Crusade has been passing, the world has been conquered, plenty of alien species has been eradicated, as well as some human civilization, because plenty of them actually grew up pretty dire and corrupted during these times. Some of them actually didn't, and they got pretty easily introduced to the Imperium with no trouble. It took like 200-300 years, something about this, and after the one final war with the greatest Imperium of the Orcs, like the last main threat that was left in the known galaxy for humanity, it happened on the planet called Ulanor, later on Armageddon, when they destroyed the capital of the greatest Orc Imperium that was left in the galaxy. The Emperor decided, okay, this is time, the crusade is basically over, the galaxy is practically whole conquered already, it's time to move on with my plans. So I'm leaving the rest of the crusade to you lot, and I'm going back to Terra, to Earth, to go with my plans. And in my stead, I'm appointing this one of my sons, Horus, as the new War Master, so like leader of you all, and now he's gonna command you. Bye. And Astartes both Astartes and Primarchs didn't really like this because they were really attached to their emperor. It was just like losing their life. They literally cried doing this, but they couldn't do shit about this. So they went on to the crusade with this pain in their heart. Shit.
Mm-hmm. How's your throat doing?
Yeah.
Just going through it?
Yeah, it's really difficult to explain all of this.
It's okay.
We've been talking. We've been talking
Yeah.
for 2 hours, and it's roughly a beginning.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I said, it's a really vast and big universe,
Mm-hmm.
and you're never gonna learn everything. Don't even think about this.
That's crazy. See, that sounds like a challenge to me, though. You know?
Yeah.
I haven't been humbled yet.
You are free to go as far as you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I can. You know what? A lofty goal is just an excuse for a lot of ambition.
Yeah.
So, you know? But if you need to stop at any point, you know, that is totally okay. You just let me know.
So I just wanna reach the like turning point of the Horus Heresy. I'm pretty close to it. I've already skipped a few parts. Like I could talk a lot more about the conquest of the moon and of the Mars. It was also pretty important because Mars is where the cult of the Mars originated. The Adeptus Mechanicum, like the main engineers and scientists of the Imperium of Mankind, but I just skipped it because it would take like an hour just to explain it, or maybe a half, because it was
Crazy.
also a pretty tricky thing. But yeah, so Emperor has left. Horus is the war master now. Everyone listen to him. Okay, crusades go over. Crusades go on and on. It's going pretty to the end. But then he, with his whole fleet, bumps into the new planet, new forgotten civilization of humans, who blended with aliens that was called the Interrex. They were pretty advanced, and they were pretty friendly at the very beginning. Like they wanted to get reconciled with the Imperium, with the rest of humanity. But so they invited Horus and his legion, at least part of it, onto the planet to celebrate and all. But what they didn't know, between the legion of the Horus was also a traitor from the separate legion called the Word Bearers, because the legion of the Horus was called the Luna Wolves, and there was another one called the Word Bearers, which was led by the Lorga. And problem with them was that they were heavily religious. Like, while the emperor tried to get rid of all the religion, and they really put a strong force into that, and really tried to influence it, at the same time Lorgar, as the first, view him as a god. He believed he's actually a god, and he is his son, and therefore he made his whole world, home world, as the basically one big church of the emperor. But between his legionaries there was one chaplain. So like chaplain is like specific rank, specific someone specific in the army, And this chaplain was called Erebus, and he was actually a traitor because even before he became a space marine, he was already a puppet of the Chaos Gods. And at some point he joined the fleet of the Horus under some pretext, like, oh, I'm just gonna travel with you for quite some time because I need to get to this place, and we are actually getting there. And when they landed on the planet of the Interax, he was with them. He crawled into the museum that Interax had there of like their technology, their history and all. And there was one sword that was created by ancient alien species that was also plagued by the powers of Nurgle, and it had the power to absolutely kill everyone who it touches. All you had to do was stand in front of a person and whisper their true name to the sword, and the sword would and if the sword inflicted a wound, it would also inflict the most powerful plague of the Nurgle. No, sorry, I'm getting bloated from the coke. Like the most powerful curse for the Nurgle that it completely and inevitably causes them to die. And
Oof.
he stole it, and he managed to sneak it first into the fleet, and then on a planet called Davin 5, if I remember correctly, where he already planted his seeds of treason, because there was this planet was before discovered and conquered by the fleet of the Horus, and as a governor he left one of his most faithful people, so he could be so Horus simply thought he can be trusted and all, and this person was absolutely loyal, and he really regretted this. He literally cried for Horus not to leave him, but in the end he had to stay. And Erebus used this felt of betrayal, this sadness and all, to trick him into becoming a puppet of the Chaos Forces, and apparently he made him fall to the Nurgle and revolt against the Imperium to separate from it, because it was a plan to bring Horus with his fleet to go into this planet to just go there and punish them and get them back to the Imperium. And when they landed, Erebus gave this sword I mentioned to this governor that was already a demon lord of Nurgle. Like, he was completely bloated, and he was no longer resembling the person he was. Like, he was just completely corrupted already. And at some point through the way to him, Horus was separated from the rest of his forces, and he bumped into this governor, he fought him, and he defeated him, but the governor managed to sneak a single little wound on Horus. And main power of the Primarchs was that almost nothing can kill them. Like, they can regenerate practically completely every single organ, every single bone, anything they have, they can easily regenerate it. But the power of the curse from the sword caused these abilities to completely shut down and stop. So Horus just kept bleeding, and his powers, and he couldn't regenerate. He started getting weaker, and at some point he basically died from it. Like, or rather, he was on the verge of dying, and his Astartes, his people who served under him, really cried over it, and they wanted to find any possible solution to save him. And that's when Erebus stepped in and said, "Hey, I know this place. I know this saint temple right here, right on the another planet in this very system. And there are some monks that can possibly heal Horus. We just have to put him there, and they will use their powers to save him. This is the only way." And because they were really desperate and all, they agreed to it. They didn't think it's actually gonna be a treachery. They thought Erebus really is gonna help them because he was already some time with them. They kind of thought of him as their friend. So they brought Horus to this temple, but what they didn't know, this temple was actually from the very beginning sacrificed to the Chaos Gods. And the monks there made the ritual in which they showed Horus the twisted version of the future, in which Emperor, against what he claimed, made himself a god emperor. He created whole worlds built only for praying to him and for like howling his name as his cathedrals and all, but all of this without Horus. Like, he was deemed to be left over, although he was claimed to be his favorite son. He had to be left over. Like, Emperor would just get rid of him. He thought of him as nothing more than just a tool and all. And because of this, Horus got killed, but also revived, but with already a chaos corrupted soul.
Oof.
Yeah.
Kinda cool though, but also kinda bad.
It's absolutely bad. It's exactly when all the things started to go to shit. Because after this, Horus, it wasn't as bad as in the beginning. Like I said, chaos always starts with the small things. So Horus was corrupted, but maybe at some point he would be able to be redeemed, to be saved. But no one knew what happened to him, because the one thing Emperor messed with is that he kept a secret from everyone that the warp and chaos exist. Like, they knew about warp, they knew it gave powers and everything, they could travel through it, but they had no idea that in the warp there are actually living beings, there are demons and all, and they can twist them. Because, as I said, souls of the physical being affect the warp, but they also affect it the more connected to the warp is the said being. And even though they keep feeding them just by living, at the same time it's not as severe as when they know what they are feeding. Because not only then they can do this on purpose or anything, but how to say it, but at the same time it may inflict even more fear and hard feelings in them. Like, even if they could just like want to separate themselves from the warp, to stay as far from it as possible, to avoid these demons, but exactly because of this they would just grew closer to it and made the chaos stronger. And this was Emperor's plan, because of this, to make people unaware of the chaos, to not feed it more than it's unavoidable. So because of this also, no one knew what exactly happened to Horus, especially since in the beginning, after he left this temple, like resurrected, he kind of he was a little weird, but not as much as it could trouble them. Therefore, they went further with this, with their fight, with their crusade. They conquered another world, but things started to go to dire. Like Horus slowly and slowly, but was growing closer to the chaos, especially since Erebus kept near him, and he was slowly turning him into the champion of the Chaos Gods. And the once happy and friendly and all of this pleasant place that was his fleet actually started to turn grim, dark, and things weren't as good as before. And Astartes obviously saw this. They were confused, they didn't know what to do. Some of them stayed with the Horus anyway, because they were absolutely loyal. The rest also were loyal to him, but they thought the things are going weird and something should be done. Maybe we should talk to Horus, but he doesn't want to talk to us anymore. He kind of separate themselves from us while keeping this blindly loyal to him. And here at the same time, through the Erebus and other agents of the chaos, managed to bring the other half of his brothers to the chaos, because he told them that Emperor has betrayed them all. He plans to get rid of them. He actually wants to become a god and all, and they believed him because they felt the Emperor did unjust to them for their services, because even though they kept fighting for him, they didn't really get any acknowledgement from him so far. So they decided to join the Horus in this rebel. But what they had to do first was to get rid of the Astartes in the armies that stayed loyal with the Emperor no matter what. And thus they decided to do this on the planet that actually in this moment rebelled, so to use this as an opportunity. And they went to the planet called Istvan 3. Then three main fleets that actually grouped together then. So the Luna Wolves of Horus, the Emperor's Children of Fulgrim, and the three? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3. I had to count it. Wait, no. Shit, there were 3 or 4. Now I cannot remember. Because I need to check one thing. Because there's one important person that Oh. Yeah, there were 4. Yeah, there were exactly 4 legions. Because there were Horus and his Luna Wolves. There were Fulgrim with his Emperor Children's, Angron with his World Eaters, and Mortarion with his Death Guard. And they dispatched especially the Astartes that stayed loyal with the Emperor to fight. They landed on the planet, only the loyal ones. And they did fight off this rebellion pretty quickly, but the moment it was done, the Horus officially betrayed them because he ordered the planet to be exterminated. So they Yeah, so they sent things called the virus bombs. It's
Virus bombs?
virus bombs. Because
Yeah.
there are plenty of ways to exterminate the planet. Like every single ship of the Imperium of Mankind have weapons capable of destroying a whole world. And one of these is the virus bombs. So bombs filled with a very specific artificially made virus that spreads really quickly within the organic matter. It causes it to melt, to rot and all. It literally made the Astartes to their bodies to melt instantly on their bodies in like few seconds, for the organs to shut down, to melt from the insides and basically turn them into the meaty bloody goo. But it was not even the finish, because this virus also, from the melting these bodies, caused a type of gas to emanate, like methane or something like that, and it really quickly filled the atmosphere, because it wasn't just the people but also the animals, the plants and everything else just rot. Everything else beside the Astartes that managed to hide inside the bunkers that were on the planet and sealed them, because the virus itself is very short-living. The moment it lost the stuff to feed on, it dies, but it also produced this gas that filled the air. And what's specific about this gas is that it's absolutely flammable. So after virus finished its job, Horus ordered the strike with flame bombs or something like that ignited the atmosphere and basically smashed everything from the surface of the planet. More or less everything. Just some more sturdy buildings survived. And, yeah. And as I said, some Astartes managed to hide behind the bunkers. They left, they knew what happened, and Horus was actually pissed off that they survived, so he had no choice but to send the rest of his forces. And it wasn't actually much of a fight. They put some kind of a struggle, but the loyalists to the Emperor just ultimately got destroyed by the traitors.
Oh.
Yeah, but what they failed us was they didn't know a single ship from the Death Guards managed to be like conquered by the loyalists, who somehow stayed on the board, and they used it to escape and to inform the rest of the loyalists about this treason, about how Horus started his heresy, how he betrayed the Emperor. And the word went to the other Primarchs. One of them, Rogaldorn, ordered them to go into Terra, to unify there, and with a single strike, as a single huge mighty force, go and destroy the heretics. But one of them was so blinded by the anger and hatred that he couldn't stay. He was called Ferus Manus. He of the Iron Hands. He convinced the other two, Corvus Corax from the Raven Guard and the Vulcan from Salamanders, to go with him and by themselves punish the traitors who just got rid of half of the more or less half of their forces on Istvan III when they got rid of the loyalists. And they headed to the planet called Istvan V, where also Horus with his other brothers went with their armies to prepare for the defense. They landed there, They started battling, and at the beginning it seemed that loyalists are gonna win. Like, they suffered heavy losses, but at the same time they kept pushing and pushing the traitors into the fortifications. But what they didn't know, it was actually all this time a trick and a trap, because the other fleets that they didn't know yet but were traitor as well arrived. It was the Alpha Legion of Alpharius and Omegon, the twin brothers, the word bearers of Lorgar, and somehow else, I don't remember now. And at the very beginning, these three loyalist legions thought, oh fine, they're our reinforcements, they're gonna help us, let's go, let's send our tired injured troops there for the help, and they are gonna reinforce us with their armies. And when they were close to their place, to their drop site, they actually officially turned traitor, and they opened fire on them. They blasted them completely, and then that's when the loyalists understood it was all actually a trap, and all they could do was now to just fight for survive and maybe somehow manage to get to their ships, to their like aircrafts, and manage to escape, or just go and at least rid of as much as possible of the traitors. But ultimately they got completely destroyed. Ferus Manus has died. He was decapitated by Fulgrim. Vulcan was hit by a nuke, so he got blasted from the existence, and only Corvus Corax managed to hide with some of his leftover troops. And the forces of Horus has won this second great battle of the Horus Heresy, called later on as the Dropsite Massacre. And this is like the officially turning point of the Horus Heresy when it started on Eastfine 5, and from this point on we talk about the Horus Heresy that spanned for 9 years in total. It caused complete destruction to the Imperium, in which the Horus has died, but also managed to wound the Emperor, so he had to be entombed on the Golden Throne on Terra, and basically became a corpse emperor that later on got praised like a god emperor, and his dreams were no more from this point. Finished.
Wow. Wow.
And please tell me I didn't freeze again.
You did not freeze again. You have not frozen since then. Nah.
Yeah.
No, you're all good.
Yeah, I'm good. My brain is melting. But
yeah, you're good. Good work.
Yeah, but now you understand what I was talking about when I said it's just the beginning. I just told you how the Horus Heresy has started. And just so you know, Horus Heresy itself is 66 different books.
66 books?
Yeah, in total.
Oh my gosh.
Exact, plenty of them is actually not attached to each other, plenty of them talk just about the Primarch has been discovered or something like that, but still there is 30 or 40 books that attached directly to the Horus Heresy itself.
I know what I'm getting when I see it. I see when I go to the bookstore next, I know what I'm getting.
Yeah, luckily there are some books that you can pass. For example, the 5th book called Fulgrim is about the Primarch Fulgrim and how he turns traitorous. and how he falls to chaos. But basically, it's like first 4 books in a single one, but from Fulgrim's perspective.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah.
But overall,
Yeah.
audiobooks may be your big friend.
Holy shit. It's crazy. I'm just looking at a list of them.
And
Yeah.
it's just
I'll
Horus
take
Heresy.
recommendations for which ones to do.
And it's just Horus Heresy, the Warhammer 40k,
Yeah.
and it's just the real prequel to the 40k. Like, this is when the Imperium has failed for the first time, and how it ultimately turned to what is now. So like very religious country that prays to the God Emperor, that is absolutely a nightmare to live. And you as a normal person, all you can do is just do your service and hope you're gonna die easy, quick death, without being sacrificed to the demonic cult or anything like that.
And yeah. It do be a lot for sure.
Yeah.
But it's very cool. Very cool.
Like, I am just like 2 years into this so far. Like, April 2023 was when I have read or rather listened to the first Horus Heresy audiobooks, and this is when I started.
Hmm.
In December 2023 was when I bought my first movie.
And now you're an expert.
Rather, I know my stuff around. I listened to a lot of podcasts, I read books, I read through the wiki. I'm just really interested in this universe.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that it's a like more grim universe, and it has like a different it's exploring all those themes and that sort of thing.
Yeah, just
One of my
like
favorite.
It's the power of a
Yeah.
contrast.
Yeah. One of my favorite bits of lore, though, is that the Beasts of Nurgles are just like puppies, and they think that they're
Yeah.
playing with you, and they're really just trying to kill you, but they don't realize it. So I feel bad killing them in Dark Tide, to be honest, because
Yeah, and you know
they're
what's even
they're
funniest about
puppies.
them?
What?
That if they don't get like attention for enough time, they ultimately grow sad and angry and all, and they evolve into into thing called, like, I don't remember the exact name, but it's in like gigantic Nurgle wasps that are very pissed off, like real life wasps, but way worse, and they are often used as flying mounts for the plague bearers. These guys with one eye and a horn.
Whoa, interesting. So they evolve like Pokemon, is what I'm understanding.
Gotta catch 'em all, but it sounds better when you think about it. When you're thinking with the context that you are catching the plagues.
Yeah. Gotta catch all the diseases. Yeah, the Beast of Nurgle, fun fact, is always interesting to me, because when I'm fighting them, I'm like, man, I feel bad, but then they're also like swallowing me and shit, you know. So it really, if you don't fight them, you're dead. So yeah, that's the Warhammer in a nutshell for you.
Definitely a nutshell.
Just nihilism.
And as I said, now I'm gonna make myself a drink and fucking drink it.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have anything else to ask? Like, any question? to explain?
Not a question, but I'll definitely take those recs of that you said that you'd send, of like where to start, and then also the extra stuff that you weren't going to be able to say on stream as well, because I'm interested.
Yeah, like I said, the worst is the beginning, because there is a lot of specific terminology and names, and authors don't really bother with explaining them. so you really need,
Uh-huh.
gonna need wiki at the very beginning. It's good to also listen to some podcasts. For example,
Yeah.
Wheaton, as for the amount of knowledge, or Adeptus Ridiculous as for the most easy to absorb informations. They are very good at it, and yeah, they are a good way to start with. As for the books, as I said, Horus Heresy is a good way to start, because although it's just a prequel, it also doesn't have as much a specific terminology and references to the past, as well as authors at least try to explain how stuff works there. But also, yeah, it's a beginning, and it shows the characters that later on happen in the universe and show up. Another one would be
Gotcha.
like the Caiaphas Cain series. They are about the Imperial Guard, and they really show nicely the life of the common fighter, the common trooper. There are plenty of good books actually. For example, if you want to read some comedy, then look into the Orcs book.
The orcs?
Yeah, because Orcs are like peak comedy of the Warhammer 40k, because they are dumb, they are hilarious. They they even talk funny, because they are like they don't talk like normal people, because they are so stupid. So they talk like, oh, these damn humans, let's punching them hard to get that teeth from these humans, stuff like this.
I see. I gotcha.
Yeah, they're just hilarious, because, as I said, Krorks have had this power to bend their reality if there is enough of them around, right? Orcs have something similar, but as I said, it deteriorated with them, with these millennia of evolving from Krorks, and now it's the power that if there is enough of them and they believe in something, then it's happening. For example, Orcs believe that if something is painted red, that it flies, rides, or shoots faster. Because of this, they paint their vehicles and stuff red, and it flies faster, not because of any physical reason, but because the orcs believe it so.
I see.
Or there's this funny man with a commissar, so some leader of the human troops, some officer rather, talking to his forces, but suddenly he gets shot by an orc sniper. And there are other orcs around him, and one doesn't believe him. How is it possible? I told you, he never misses. But we are in the damn space. And the officer was on the surface. Or another one, there was this orc in the spacesuit repairing some stuff on the surface of these ships in the space, and suddenly some other orcs came to loot them because they fight each other, and they dropped around him, but they didn't have suits. So this orc in suit asked them, "Hi, where are your suits? Why do we need suits? Because you need suits to live in space." And at this moment they all died because they started to believe you need the suits to live in space.
What?
Yeah. Or another one. There was this commissar with his troopers that fought off the orcs at some planet, but they couldn't. They were just running out of ammunition. So and the orcs were just running. So at some point he just took a gun and went like bang, started shooting just bang, although there was no more ammunition in it, and the orcs kept dying because they believed they were shot. But one orc didn't. He kept running, and running, and at some point he ran over this commissar, and what the commissar last heard was this orc talking to himself, I'm a tank, I'm a tank, I'm a tank, I'm a tank. Yeah, so this is a grim dark universe. It's really gruesome. There's plenty of gore, there's plenty of death and everything, all the nightmares, but at the same time there is just full of all the kinds of comedy.
Well, it's gotta lighten it somehow if it's a story, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, so do you have anything else to ask?
Let's see. Not at the moment. I think I'm. That's a lot to digest, so I'll be digesting it. And if I do think of something, I'll definitely send it over to you.
That was actually my another question. How do you feel so far?
How do I feel so far?
Yeah.
I feel more knowledgeable. I feel initiated. Yeah. I feel good, yeah. It's definitely a lot to process and a lot to take in, though. I mean, we went over, like, hundreds of millennia, you know, in time of lore, you know? So, that do be a whole lot, but, yeah.
Is your brain melting just like mine?
Just a little bit. Not probably as much as yours, but just a little bit.
Well, sounds like a time for a Dark Tide relief match.
Dark Tide relief match?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you want any questions, you have some troubles with lore or anything, just reach out to me. I will be happy to help and all.
Of course. The same goes to you if you wish to reach out to me.
Thank you.
Yeah. But thank you so much for all your insight and all of your knowledge and all of your sacrifice you've done for your throat in the past 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Life is all about sacrifices. For example, now my liver is gonna sacrifice itself for the case of my relief.
You know that's fair. That is totally fair.
Anyway, thank you very much for this collab stream.
Yeah, of course. And thank you as well for joining me.
Yeah. Bye bye chat. Bye bye Sen. Thank you very much once again.
Yes. Sounds good. I will talk to chat for a little bit before I go. But thank you again, Alphario. Appreciate you.
Okay.
And we'll talk again sometime soon.
Yeah. You be welcome to do so.
Okay. Cool.
So,
alright, have a good night. Enjoy your rest.
have a good day. Have a nice relief.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Alright, see ya.
See ya. Oh, she vanished and I'm vanishing too. Bye bye.